Hello, my name is Patty Starr, P-A-T-T-I-S-T-A-R-R. I moved to Bardstown, Kentucky in 1995, and it was a wonderful little town to move to. I found out later that it was the second oldest city in Kentucky. It has lots of history. The architect is fantastic. And as I'm walking down the street, I saw this very old tavern called the Talbott Tavern, and I thought, oh my gosh, this place has to have ghosts. I walked in, phenomenal feeling, and so I said to myself, I'm going to get a job here. This is where I'm going to work. In a very short period of time, I was the general manager of the Talbott Tavern, and that's where my adventure begins. I immediately realized the hauntings that were there, the different ghosts that were there. I could see them, I've heard them, a little girl laughing, a very pretty lady walking through the dining rooms. I even had customers that would come to me and say, my fork is moving, or my glass slid across the table. I had a gentleman tell me about the white lights in his room and how his TV would come on even after he unplugged it. So I was really fascinated to be able to work in a place that had so many spirits. But unfortunately, in 1998, this 250-year-old building, it was built in 1779, caught on fire and was heavily damaged. So they had to close their door for the first time in 250 years. It was a sad day when all this happened, and the owners did ask me if I would stay a while until they decided whether or not they would reopen. And I thought, this will be great. This is a great time for me to go back at night and maybe sit in the room and see what I could pick up, see what I could hear, see what I could see and feel. And I also brought cameras and recorders, and fortunately for me, I got the most awesome experience. One late night, I had a recorder out, and I had it down a hallway where I had seen many spirits walking before. And I said to the universe, I said, please, if there's someone here that would like to give me a message or give me a clue, please speak to me. It will capture your voice in this little machine. It won't hurt you, and I promise I'm not going to make fun of you, but we would like to know if you exist. I stayed there until about 4 in the morning, and then I took my recorders and my equipment home, and I started playing it back, and I got the most awesome message from a spirit that came through and said, welcome to the Talbott, have a seat and I'll serve you. When I heard that, I think every hair on my body had to stand completely at attention. I was so excited too that I was able to record this on a piece of equipment that you could audibly hear this message. But the one thing that confused me a little bit is she said, welcome to the Talbott. You see, no one ever called the building the Talbott. They call it the Tavern. Everybody in town, let's go to the tavern, let's have fun at the tavern. Nobody calls it the Talbott. So that encouraged me to go back quite a few years before it was a tavern and find out who this might be. So in the history, I found out that in 1886, George Talbott married Annie Spaulding, and they bought this building that at the time was called the Newman House. They lived there, they had a business with an inn and a restaurant, and they had 12 children. Now, only 5 of them made it to adult life. But they worked there, they lived there, they grew, they had happy time, sad time, and then in 1912, George died. Now, Annie decided to stay on and continue with the restaurant business and the help of some of her children. But she, in the honor of George, she changed the name from the Newman House to the Talbott Hotel, not Tavern. Because you see, George was a teetotaler. He wouldn't allow any alcohol in his establishment. Because when he was about 9 years old, his favorite uncle was in a barroom brawl and ended up being shot. So he just did not want to have that kind of element in his building. So I knew then, this must be sweet Annie welcoming people to her Talbott Hotel. So she says, welcome to the Talbott, have a seat, and I'll serve you. Now, it did become a tavern, but not until 1916, when Annie sold the place to T.D. Beam, which was Jim Beam's brother. So then is when it became a tavern. So for her leaving me that little clue, saying that Welcome to the Talbott, have a seat and I'll serve you, was for me the most awesome experience that I could ever hope to have and to learn from the ghosts and the spirits that haunt this old tavern. Now in 1997, I decided to start a ghost walk there in Bardstown. So what I did is I included all the other stories, and some of these stories are fantastic that happened. Jesse James. Now you wouldn't think that Jesse James would have come to Bardstown, but we found out that his family lived right down the street from Bardstown, and that his mother went to St. Catherine's College, and that his cousin Donnie Pence was the sheriff right there in Bardstown. So we even picked him up in pictures and video and voice. So we've had so much fun being at the tavern and meeting all the different spirits there and ghosts there. And every year, from June until October, we still go there with our ghost walk. It's now called a ghost hunt walk. And we continue to meet all these wonderful spirits, and they do come through for us. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.